Now, over the weekend, President Trump angrily took to Twitter to talk about his use of unstructured executive time. Now, during executive time, of course, that's when he's free to talk to his friends on the phone. He calls them up all the time, tweets and watches Fox and Friends, sometimes does all three at the same time. Now, this latest offense comes after another release. Yes, there was a release earlier, the president's schedule, and then there was another release over the weekend. Now, this new release, of course, shows that the president is still spending about 60% of his work time, not overall time, just his work time, 60% of it, doing basically nothing. Now, here's what he tweeted. Quote, the media was able to get my work schedule, something very easy to do. Really? Then why is it such a big deal? Why is it such a big deal that it got leaked? Anyway, it should have been reported as a positive, not negative. When the term executive times is used, I am generally working, not relaxing. In fact, I probably work more hours than almost any past president. Which, of course, is absolutely false, but he continues. The fact is, when I took over as president, our country was a mess. Depleted military, endless wars, a potential war with North Korea, all false. VA, high taxes, and too many regulations. What have you done for the VA anyway? Too many taxes, regulations, border immigration, and healthcare problems, and much more. I had no choice but to work very long hours. No, you know what he did in the first year of his presidency? He worked really, really hard trying to cut his own taxes. And he was very successful at doing so. And of course, right now, the tax plan sits at about 30% approval rating. Because most of the country, 70%, want to actually raise taxes on the incredibly wealthy. But furthermore, he's got one tweet to end that. He says, no president has ever worked harder than me, cleaning up the mess I inherited. Oh yes, the mess from Obama, which is what? Lower deficits, to which I've criticized him for, because I think we actually need more investment spending, not more austerity. But okay. Anyway, the difference between that, of course, is that President Trump increased the deficit by giving tax cuts for rich people. And so he shifted more resources of the economy towards rich people who, again, I shouldn't have to explain this. They already have all the money. That's why they're rich. Anyway, not only that, but you had unemployment that was continuing to fall during President Obama. This is not what President Obama inherited. You remember what Obama inherited? A massive recession with gigantic amounts of job losses. And President Obama did turn that around and ended up giving Trump a pretty decent economy. And not great, of course. And again, I've criticized the Obama economy, the Obama recovery, where, again, most of the money ended up going to the very wealthy. Trump has basically made it so that even more money goes to the incredibly wealthy. So all of that stuff pretty much is a lie. Now, I mean, I guess everything except for the endless war. Of course, we were having endless war, and guess what? We're still having endless war. But of course, to give Trump a little bit of credit, he does want to take us out of Syria. And I think that's actually the correct approach. And of course, it's also one of the things that mainstream media and the establishment, well, they despise because the establishment is made up of warmongers. But anyway, give him small credit on that one. The rest is lies. The president is lazy. He literally does nothing but watch Fox and Friends, golf, tweet, and eat hamburgers. In fact, Twitter, they jumped in to point this out. We'll start with a couple of tweets from Emma Kennedy. She says, golf, tweet, golf, tweet, golf, tweet, watch TV, eat hamburgers, golf, tweet. That's all you do. That's true. Actually, one quick correction on that, Emma. He doesn't eat hamburgers. He eats hamburgers while drinking Diet Coke. Lawrence Tribe tweets, does anybody believe this BS? Trump himself might actually believe that watching Fox and tweeting crap is hard work. But anyone else? Maybe some of his brain-dead supporters. Matthew Dick says, this is our fourth I work hard tweet in the last 2 days. Methinks the lady doth protest too much, Donald. And look, when you have to defend your schedule so ardently when it shows that you're incredibly lazy, you know you're being lazy, and you know you don't want to stop being lazy. Because he comes out and he says, well, no, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not going to change anything. I'm not being late. In fact, I'm working super hard. I'm working harder than you. I'm working harder than anybody. Nobody has ever worked so hard as me. And that's how Trump does things. But here's the thing. Being president is way different than being the CEO of a large company. Where, look, everybody else, when you're the CEO, does all the hard work, and you get to sit in your butt and you get to make decisions. That's it. Politics is a little bit different, right? You might actually have to come up with ideas and strategies. You got to pay attention to briefings and maybe sit and learn things that might help you become more effective at your job. Remember, you are the commander-in-chief. You actually have to pay attention to briefings. Trump does none of those things. He can't sit through a briefing to save his life. He gets bored. So, and look, according to Lindsey Graham, he's a, quote, one-pager kind of guy. That's Lindsey Graham, one of his most ardent supporters. During one of the confirmation hearings, right, they were joking about how Trump was basically a one-pager guy, kind of guy. He only reads one page. He doesn't care about the rest. He doesn't care about intelligence, and he can't stay focused on anything. And again, I think it's hilarious how they point that out, even though these people are some of the biggest Trump sycophants in Congress. But they know it. They know it. How sad. Now, speaking of sad, more tweets. Andy Ostry says, no president in history ever had to work so hard to convince us that he worked so hard. Sad. And look, if he spent that time working, reading, and learning, well, he'd at least know some things. And maybe wouldn't bumble and bungle everything he touches. But he has no interest in that. He's not intellectual curious, right? And look, I guess at least if he's going to stay ignorant, then I'm glad he's lazy. I'm glad he doesn't work. Imagine the damage he could do if he wasn't lazy. Now, I just have one more tweet here to kind of cap this off. And I want to go over it because I think it's kind of funny. The Fire Viking says, tweeting on the can doesn't count. To which I say, let's be fair. I think everybody does that. It's kind of what smartphones and Twitter are for. Just saying. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.